Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Late Challenge. Thank you for joining us here on a very rare Thursday evening. I think you can understand why we're doing it on a Thursday and not before. Monday night kind of needed a little bit of time to digest for all of us. But thankfully, having that extra time has kind of seen things have got a little bit better. Everyone involved looks like they're going to pull through. So I think it's time for us to kind of come back into the life. And we will obviously want to send our love to everyone who got injured, anyone who witnessed the events, anyone connected to those people. But as you know, this is a show that always likes to accentuate the positive stuff. So that's what most of this show is going to be about. In that end, I wanted to give a shout out once again to the emergency services and all the people of Liverpool who once again came through offering help, warm clothing, place to stay, places to, lifts to wherever they needed to be. I love you all. This is the reason why I want to stay here for as long as I possibly can. So, yeah, absolutely willing for all of that.
Yeah, and also today is the 40th anniversary of the Heysel disaster. So just wanted to give that a shout out too. Obviously, I'm sure all of you know that 39 people were killed before the 1985 European Cup final between Liverpool and Juventus. That led to 40 Liverpool fans being convicted and the club being given a 7-year ban from European competition. An important bit to remember the bit about people being convicted because lots of players seem to suddenly, every year jump on social media and talk about justice. People went to jail, lads. Literally went to jail. Another question is whether it was ever truly sort of acknowledged in the right way by both clubs. Both clubs at different times have done things that have left a little bit to be desired. Certainly from Liverpool's perspective, the memorial that's in place at Anfield came far too late. And me and others have since pointed out that it's not exactly great, not exactly in a good position, not exactly, fit for purpose, really. I wrote a letter on behalf of Spirit of Shankly to them last year. We'd also had other people who'd got in touch around the same subject. Shared something today on social media, which I wrote 2 years ago, I think, saying then that, the current memorial wasn't always publicly accessible. And also, as I've already said, not exactly great. It doesn't feature the names of the deceased or anything like that in the similar fashion to what we have with the Hillsborough Memorial. It felt a bit more fitting to me if we did have something that was like that, and we are now going to get that. I think that is fantastic news and the right decision, a step in the right direction, albeit many, many years too late. But it is the 40th anniversary, as I say, and I think it's a nice thing, a positive thing, a good thing that Liverpool will unveil a new memorial at the ground later this year. So that's a good thing. And club dignitaries here in Russia, etc., out there today to mark the 40th anniversary.
Yeah, I believe that Juventus have actually got a new memorial themselves that they're planning. So it feels like you say, both clubs have kind of woken up to the fact that we need to kind of make this a little bit more meaningful, a little bit more prominent for everyone involved. So yeah, I'm glad that that's happening. Obviously, it's going to be difficult to pivot from something so somber into something that's so wonderful, but we have got to stress that the majority of this show is going to be about the positive things that we experienced this weekend, because there were loads of them and we want to talk about them. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Everything that cool that happened this weekend. A very, very special anniversary from a football perspective from Liverpool that took place as well. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the end of the season and how we've looked at it and what the summer will bring, maybe new signings. But before all that, as you can probably see, we've got a load of clutter. Well, actually, it's probably not fair to call it clutter because it's presents from you, the people. Like, honestly, I knew of one and then I arrived at the studio and there was more. So well into all of you who've delivered us all these gifts. The majority of them are crisps, which is exactly what we were expecting. So thank you for all of that. I'm going to read out one of the notes I've got here to Robbo, Mo and Kopi. All right, the lads, hope you're all well and good. He was on holiday in Chicago last week, and these crisps are taking off over there. Apparently made by and packaged by a local of Chicago to the point they're struggling to meet demand. The flavors are based on staple Chicago favorite foods, so I thought the lads would have to give them a go. Hope you like them. Thanks for the TLC show. It's boss, something I look forward to every week. Look after yourselves, keep doing the do, and enjoy this coming weekend where you're confirmed champions. Up the Reds. And we think it's Al. I mean, your handwriting is very nice, but it's hard to read.
Someone else sent some as well. So we've got some O'Donnell's relish and cheddar cheese flavour, and we've got these belters, which are potato rough cut takeaway salt and chili chicken. So we're all right for crisp. There was no note with that one, but I'm sure someone out there knows that they sent me a. Lots of people have sort of like dropped us messages saying, where can we send you stuff? Soz, if we just randomly used your studio, Dave. I'll check with him at the end whether that's actually all right and whether we can carry on doing that, because someone else wants to send us something. But yeah, anyway, thank you. And also as well, I gave my own address out to someone. I don't know who. I just sometimes reply to a load of messages at once that, you know, are in the back end of our Instagram or wherever it may be. And someone sent us cups that they'd had specially made. If they said, trust me, I'm a DJ. They had a little graphic of Mo on. It had the trophy on there, you know, like the Premier League trophy, etc. Like special TLC mugs that they'd had made for us to drink our brews out of. I'm really sorry, whoever it was. There was no note in the packaging. If you want, I can send you a picture if you can maybe get a refund, whoever you ordered them off. They arrived in bits. They arrived in pieces. As someone who's previously sent mugs out as part of a business, they need to be in the polystyrene things. And these were just in a cardboard box. And I thought it was Mo because it featured Mo. And I think he was like, what are you on about, lad? Yeah. And they just arrived in bits. So really sorry. Thanks for the thought. They did look good when I did my little jigsaw impression. However, we won't be able to...
There's not enough glue in the world, unfortunately, to put them back together.
But like I say, if there's any way that whoever you ordered them off, you want to send them a picture, I do have a picture on my phone if you want to get in touch, and maybe you can send us them again because they didn't do a good job of packaging them. Anyway, thanks. The thought was there. Yeah,
definitely try and get your money back on that one. I didn't mention before the actual flavours that Al said. He's got hot dog flavoured, deep dish pizza flavoured, and this one, hot yard, which I don't know what that is, but it looks like it's spicy. Speaking of spicy...
Go for the pizza.
You're going with pizza? All right. Speaking of spicy, we've got more. So this was something that I found out about in person at the game on Sunday. A lovely lady called Shamila came up to me from Singapore, and she asked me about where I can drop off some stuff, and I may or may not have mentioned here. So lads. And she sent in a wonderful package, and I'm going to take this crisp and then I'm going to read it out.
Good.
Yeah, it definitely tastes like pizza.
Deep dish pizza, local style potato chips, kettle cooked.
Oh yeah. So.
Oh, you do.
Yeah. Dear Gareth and Mo, here's a little something from Singapore for you guys to plough through. Very briefly, you got some crisps. Note of caution, they can be spicy. It's all right, we got coffee here. Instant noodles. Note to Robbo, we've run out of coca, when funnily enough, it's actually a local brand of ours.
Oh?
Nissin is loved by most people in Singapore, so you're safe there. And Tertarik, which translates into pulled tea, is a local way of having milk tea in Singapore, where the tea is pulled from glasses. They basically pour it from one glass to another to make it froth it up. But yeah, we've got all of that here. And then some kaya, which is coconut jam, best had with a slab of cold butter on toast. Snacks aside, love you both from your tour days and love you guys on the same on the late challenge. I speak to Kopi as well, so I have already mentioned to him what a cracking job this show does. Hope you enjoy the snacks over the summer. And by the way, champions, champions, champions. Best wishes, Shamila. Now,
thanks, Shamila. That's very kind.
Yes. So we've got black pepper crab flavour. Steady.
I'm not a seafood fella, I have to say.
Oh, well, that's bad news because this one's seafood as well. Tom Yam seafood. which looks like prawns because they've got prawns on them.
I can do some seafood. I mean, I'd prawn cocktails, decent delivery.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, what's the movie? Yeah, because we've got about 8. we can't try all these today because that'd be like an amazing waste of crisps.
I think maybe what we should do is we should just do a separate video where we just go through all the crisps and then put that out at some point.
Just put a stone on.
Well, we don't have to eat the whole bags. We can just kind of like, do a taste test. I'll give them to you because you're the tea master.
Huh? Wow.
And
so what you do?
The noodles.
I mean, it's amazing all this. Thanks very much, everyone. I mean, makes us feel loved. I have to say.
Absolutely.
So
mushroom chicken flavour, and then I'll have a go on the jam.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to try. I want to try these rough cuts. They look belter. So we'll have a go with these, and then we'll talk about stuff that's happened and that.
Well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. They're good.
Yeah.
Mate, if you sent me them, you lads. I thought they were going to be boss, I just had a sense that they were going to be boss.
Well, I mean, we know that Tato's a strong brand anyway.
They're really good.
Oh, I like the smell already.
Mate. Mate, you were right to go higher. You were right to send them in. Oh, my God.
Woo! I thought that was good.
Should we just eat crisps and not do a podcast?
Well, you say that. But I think when you see what else I've got for you, you may change your mind.
Someone's asking where they're from. I mean, Tato are Irish crisps, like so. But, as I was saying last week, Snacks Online was a place I found that sells a lot of crisps. And maybe they have them, but I don't know. I'm sure they're available from somewhere online. But yeah, I have to say they go into the highly recommended category. Tato rough cuts, takeaway, salt and chili chicken.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I've got one more surprise for you. Now, something we've been looking for a while.
Oh.
And I have to give a shout out once again to the wonderful Lindsay and to Rianne for this because we have it on loan. Only on
Premier
loan.
League trophy.
Better than the Premier League trophy.
Oh.
Don't make me mad.
Yeah!
Quit your jibber jabber.
Who had this then?
So, someone who Lindsay and Rianne know very well, who probably doesn't even know he's missing, so that's why we've only got it on loan. But for the sake of today's show.
First name, Mr. Middle name, period. Last name, T.
So, now I'm aware that me giving this to you may well be the end of the show completely. So
We've got some serious stuff to talk about.
We've got some serious stuff to talk about. So I'm giving this to you now, but what we're going to do is we're going to give you a bit of a restriction. So every 20 minutes, I'm going to have to ask you a question. And if you get it right, you get to keep it for another 20 minutes. If you don't get it right, then I'll get it back. And these are either...
Shut up, fool!
Oh, God, I'm regretting this already. And you get to choose whether they're Liverpool questions or whether they're Mr. T questions. So, right, there you go.
Get him. Oh.
Don't make me mad.
Get in! That's boss, though.
If any of you wanted to know what Robbo was like as a 12-year-old, watch the rest of this show. But you're right, we do have other things to talk about, so we should probably get into those.
£10 off the Grim Sleeper, who says, well done for the words about Heysel, Robbo, and the inadequate memorial. Better late than never. Maybe spend this tenner on a new T-shirt for Mo, as his current attire is giving me cataracts.
Bastard! Send it back!
Well in, mate, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for most of
Give me
your
no
words.
back talk, sucker.
Yeah. Maybe I should take that back. So anyway,
Someone's just said, be careful, Gareth is a 6-year-old at heart.
oh yes,
That old.
I was going to say, is that Johnny? Hello, if you're watching.
I love your little catch up about me being a bellend at the weekend. That was funny, man. Now you know what it's been like for me the last fucking 30 years.
You know what? He's been dying for someone else to understand. So I absolutely appreciate that from him. But you know what? That's because you and I had the pleasure, and I do call it a pleasure, of spending all of Monday together, which is actually a rare treat. Normally on a match day, I've got to do my thing and you're off doing your thing, but we actually spent most of the day together. And yeah, I will. So I know how much you enjoyed it because I was there with you. But we need to talk about the elements, because the reason we were there is we were in the Chapel Street doing stuff for LFC TV. I'm sure some of you seen us on there.
Cold.
It was cold.
Wet.
It was wet. It was, we had to brave the elements, I think it's fair to say, didn't we?
I mean, I honestly got like 9 messages, I think, all at once saying, lad, you look freezing, lad, you look freezing, lad, you look freezing. I was like, I know, I am freezing. I'm on the top of a roof in the middle of Liverpool and it's raining and the wind's coming in off the Mersey and it's not great. But look, you know, the Reds turned up. The Reds did the business. The Reds had the cup, and look, it was just a day of obviously real mixed emotions, wasn't it? I mean, we'd had a fantastic day, night, evening, whatever you want to call it, the day before, obviously, because the Reds drew with Crystal Palace, and then we got to celebrate in the ground. We got to see the cup. We got to see Hanson, Virgil, all that kind of stuff. I was very fortunate as well in that I was asked onto the pitch, and like I didn't know what to expect from going on the pitch. It was to speak to LFC TV was the plan. I did do that, but while doing it, I didn't expect to be shaking hands with the manager and getting to say congratulations, Arne. So that was boss. And then I'm only a few yards away from Alisson when he's on top of the crossbar. When we were brilliant. And yeah, it was just all boss. I mean, you know, like Aldo was down there, Fowler, Jason McAteer, Jay Spearin, obviously the people from LFC TV, and just everyone, everywhere, at every turn was in a brilliant, good mood, and went into town afterwards, had a nice sing-song in the middle of town in the dispensary, good in there. And then it rolled into Monday, and we go into LFC TV, and we go to do this stuff, and, you know, we do our bit, and then they said we could wait around, and we could watch it from up there, and I'm messaging Cara saying, you know, do you want to come up or shall I come down? And he's like, I'm with the lads, too cool for school. Doesn't want to knock around with his dad. I get it. And then I was like, what about, well, I might come down. And he's like, no, I'd stay up there if I was you. It's chaos down here. And then, yeah, you know, the bus eventually arrives. Obviously, we watched the rest of the parade on the telly or in and out when we were doing bits or whatever. But then when it actually came along and, you know, the fireworks and the pyro and stuff's coming out of the live buildings and all the rest of it, and it looked amazing, didn't it? And you know, Virgil looked like a film star, coolest man in the world, you know, with his shades on and his Nike trackie and the trophy. You'll Never Walk Alone broke out, and it was like, this is it, this is unbelievable, this is brilliant. And you know, you could just, despite the, you know, the previously mentioned weather, you could just tell that like spirits were flying, everyone was buzzing. And then, you know, we then go out of there and we're so close to what unfolds. You know, we're on Dale Street and it's Water Street, you know, where obviously where it happens. So people who know Liverpool will know that one leads to the other. And we said, didn't we? We thought something's happened because all of a sudden police started running everywhere. They were telling people to get onto pavements. Lots of emergency vehicles started flying down. You couldn't get a signal, so you couldn't really sort of find out what was going on. We tried, or we looked at a couple of pubs and you couldn't get anywhere near them. They were full. So we went to the very end of Dale Street, got a pint in the Excelsior, stood outside there, weren't we? And
by the time we got there, that's when we started to find out.
People started to say then, didn't they? Yeah, people started to arrive who'd seen it or knew about it or wherever it might be. And at first, I've got to be honest, my first thought was, you know, oh, maybe it's just sort of being exaggerated or whatever it might be. And, you know, I'll wait for some kind of reliable source. But then more and more people started to say, and you could see it in their eyes that, you know, something obviously had happened. And meanwhile, more and more cars were coming, more and more ambulance, fire engine, etc. And it was like, quite clearly something's unfolded. Someone's just saying, if we see in the update, yeah, we have done. So, you know, someone's being charged. That's all over the news. You don't need us to tell you. But we're just over the road from the police headquarters, and the world's media is over there, it's fair to say, and saw all the cars and the satellite dishes outside, broadcast units and all the rest of it, and they're all doing pieces to camera over there right now. So, yeah, if you want to go and find that information out, it's all there. But from our perspective, so obviously then it was like, well, when I knew it was real, it was like, okay, how's my son?
Yeah, immediately.
And couldn't get hold of him. Phone wasn't working, and then even when I was getting some signal, not getting any joy out of ringing him, and like, you know, doing that thing where, you know, you send it as a text message to like sort of force it through. Nothing on the phone, ringing his mum, she's saying something's happened, and I'm like, yeah. And then, you know, this sort of race to get hold of him, really, and eventually we did. And yeah, he was right there. He witnessed the whole thing, my lad. One of his mates pulled one of his other mates out of the way. It was that close, basically. And then they all sort of, you know, they're all pushed back or stepped back or told, you know, it's all split second and stuff. But yeah, he was very, very, very close to it. He saw it. He witnessed it. He saw people knocked over. He saw people go under a car. He knew 3 people who were injured. Two of them had broken legs. One went under a car and miraculously is okay. And yeah, as Mo said at the start, really, you know, it's all sort of starting to come out that, you know, touch wood, grace of God and all the rest of it. It seems like everyone involved is going to make a full recovery. It's an absolute miracle that that's the case, obviously. But yeah, I think we're in a better place than where we were at the start of the week. And look, it was really hard for me as a dad to just sort of, even when I'd spoke to him and even when I knew he was all right, it was still a shock to think he was that close and what could have been different and all that kind of stuff. But he's clearly more resilient than me because he's just like, yeah, it's right. And, you know, I went round there the next day because I just sort of wanted to see him, you know, see him for myself almost, if you like, which sounds a mad thing to say, but that's what it was. And, you know, he was typical teenager, like in bed on his, you know, it's half term, so he's in bed till dinner time. His room smells like a pet shop. And he just wasn't particularly bothered. And then, you know, changed. And then he's playing games with his mates with the headset on, and he's just like, it's sound. So yeah, glad you're still with us, Cara, and you're doing well, mate.
Yeah. It was awful for a lot of reasons, but like, I think for me, being with you during that time, it was just kind of like that inability to be able to do anything to control the situation. That was the hardest part. But yeah, as you say, thankfully where we are now is a lot better place than where we were. And yeah, he's a resilient kid. I wonder where he gets that from. But I mean, there was some stuff that happened beforehand that I kind of want to touch on a little bit. You mentioned that we were up on the balcony in Chapel Street, and I remember we were there for a good 4 or 5 hours, and every now and then you go and look over the balcony and you see people and you see more and more people, and I just was looking down there just thinking how long these people were down there, because obviously it was pissing it down at that point, and they were just standing there just waiting, knowing that it was probably at least 4 hours before they were going to see anything, and they were just there. They were happy, they were waiting, they were ready to go. Like, people were like kicking footies between each side. And did you see the video I sent you of the kid
skinning the security?
No, I didn't see that live, but I mean, honestly, that encapsulates everything I love about us.
Yeah, that's definitely Scouse culture. That's like I remember going to like a non-league playoff once. Took Cara, funnily enough. It was like Litherland Remacher versus, I think it was City or Liverpool FC. And so they're playing this, you know, in the grand scheme of things, important non-league game. And there's just like lids doing wheelies literally up and down the touchline on the right, you know, as they're playing. Yeah. And I'm like, such a Scouse scenario that I'm watching unfold in front of me. And yeah, that was one of those moments. But it you know, look, I spoke to so many people over the weekend because, you know, I was at the parade. I was at the Red Weekend there. You know, I was out and about, and lots of people come over and said nice things about the podcast. Thank you if that was you. Really nice fella came over and just sort of said like he really appreciated that we do touch on mental health conversations and stuff like that. That was really, really nice. And yeah, there was just such a good vibe about the city, and I kind of think that we're at a place now where, you know, now we know what we know, and we know that people are, in the grand scheme of things, okay. I kind of think we should sort of like reclaim the good bits, you know, and I put something out to that end really on my socials yesterday, saying, you know, let's start sharing the videos, let's start sharing the pictures. Let's not, you know, let this incident, you know, darken and dampen the whole thing, because as we already said, it could have been worse, but it wasn't. And so now let's remember that it was brilliant. You know, by and large, it was brilliant. It was, you know, I've never seen that many people at a parade before. There's been big numbers, don't get me wrong, but that was definitely another step up, and that's what the estimates say so as well. So, you know, we've seen 750,000 before and things like that. This time, the general reporting seems to suggest possibly over 1 million, and it kind of did feel that way.
No, I thought so.
Everywhere was full. You know, the whole route was full of people. You know, normally, say if you go to, you know, Chilwell Five Ways or something like that, it might not be so packed, but there was big numbers absolutely everywhere on the route. On
the way in, so I did a little bit with Sky Sports down Allerton Maze where the buses were at the beginning, and that was about 10:30, and there were people queuing up there. There was already at the Allerton, you know, where the Allerton Road roundabout is, where the banks are. There were people there like 2 deep with chairs all ready to go, and on the way in and on the way out, you just saw streams of people, like families with like kids or like groups of mates, everyone just kind of chattering away, getting excited on the way down. And I was thinking, like, this is like 4 hours before anything happens. And
I think that was part, like, I don't want to say the word problem really, because, you know, look, there's going to be a review of everything that gone on, obviously, and, you know, I sort of always think, I don't want to say something where I don't know the full facts, and I don't want to throw someone under the bus for, you know, you haven't done your job or whatever, but it's like some of the organisation, you know, does feel like it left a little bit to be desired, certainly around the stations and things like, you know, communication and telling people, you know, where to go and what train to get on and things like that, and, you know, maybe just forming queues for destinations and things like that. You know, none of that was going on.
No.
And, you know, I've heard some quite moody stuff that was said to people from people I know, you know. Look, I get that, you know, anyone in any job gets frustrated at times, but telling people, as an example, that you're part of the problem because you've come to a parade, not really.
No.
You know, and I get sort of like, it can't be, you know, like it was such a unique set of circumstances, I think, in a way, in that, you know, we won the league. It's the first time in 35 years that we get to see it in the way we always wanted. You know, it was a bank holiday weekend. We won it way in advance of the end of the season. We knew even before then that it was very, very likely that we were going to win it. So that, you know, to me, that meant that lots of people got lots of time to plan to be here. And I think lots of people, after missing out last time, thought, no, this time I'm not going to miss out. This time I am going to be there. I will find a way. I will stay anywhere. I will come on the day and go home again, you know, whatever it might be. And I think with what unfolded, you know, I think a lot of people probably just thought, I want to get out because I don't know what this is, and I don't know whether there's going to be more of it. And, you know, there's lots of speculation, obviously, online, like there always is, all the unhelpful narratives and all that kind of stuff, which, you know, in a moment there, by the way, are swept away. You know, now that someone's being charged, named, and there's a photograph of them out there. Yeah, all the best with those theories, lads. But anyway, you know what I'm saying without saying it. All that stuff was flying around. I think a lot of people just thought, I want to get out of the city. So a lot of people all at once wanted to get out of the city. And obviously that presents a challenge. But it does sound like, at least, that some of it should have perhaps been handled differently.
Yeah. Well, look, with something like this, the one thing that there always is an investigation.
Yeah.
And there will hopefully be a thorough one. There are people who get paid a lot more money than us to go through all that stuff. So So the hope is that they are doing exactly that. But you're right, there were certain parts of it where you looked around and you just thought, this is probably not how it should be. And going back to what you were saying before about how you want to kind of reclaim the goodness from the badness, it did kind of remind me of the last parade, 2022, because we obviously just come back from Paris and everything that happened in Paris, and it was kind of like that, but in reverse, because obviously the incident had happened beforehand, and then you had the parade, which was kind of like a bit of a cleanser. It was kind of like, okay, we can park that, and we're still going to celebrate these players because they deserve it. And I think that's the point for me. It's like, they still deserve for us to be happy, for us to share in that happiness and share those moments and have this be a day that we remember for good reasons rather than just for that one moment that happened that probably didn't take very long out of a massive long day. But yeah, I loved the way, I love seeing people excited. I love seeing people enjoying it. And I think what you're saying as well about there being such a long time to think about it, it wasn't really one parade, it was two parades, wasn't it, really? Yeah. If you think about it, because it was the one that we didn't do and the one that we did do. And not only were there maybe more people, but everyone was determined to go harder. It's funny, there was a comment here from Jack McLaren. He's chucked in a fiver, nice one, Jack. He said, how would you compare the celebrations of winning a big trophy with Slot compared to Klopp? Are they any different? I don't think so. I didn't notice any discernible difference. I'd celebrated it just as much and I think just as hard. And I think the difference you could almost say is that with Klopp, there's the kind of like, because there was more often cups that we were celebrating, we didn't get to do the league. So with cups, it's a bit more of a roller coaster journey, whereas with the league, it tends to be a little bit more steady consistency. So you don't have those kind of, we've all been out here. For goodness sake. We've all been on this wonderful journey together. We've gone, do you remember this game? Do you remember that game? It's a little bit more, we were just there the whole time. But the celebrations themselves were just as great, I think. I don't think there's been any major difference. I dare say I'm hoping that with Slot we're going to be doing it a few more times. That's the big thing, because this is like year one, if you think about it. Bit spicy there, lads.
Just to revisit these, they are very good. However, I don't recommend sucking one of them like a lozenge.
Okay.
Fucking hell.
Oh dear. Now, it's funny, you mentioned Aldo before, and he's someone who both of us saw. There was a couple of times over the weekend where we ended up seeing the same people at different times, and obviously he's one of them. He's the person who I get to sit next to when I'm at the game. And if for anyone else thought that maybe this match didn't matter, the result didn't matter, no one cared about the match, no one mentioned that to him, because he still was living and dying. Honestly, like the amount of times I just saw him go, just like slam his head on the ground or on the table, or slam his fist on the table if something went wrong. And like, he still thought that game was exactly the same as if it had been the first game of the season for him. And I mean, I love that about him. He's got absolutely no filter at all.
I like Aldo. There's can't remember his name now, which is great, but that's my memory for you. No offence, mate. We've met a few times. We met over the weekend again. But the fella who dresses up as Elvis and all that, and has got that big wrestling belt. I mean, that belt that got about over the weekend. And it was on the pitch on Sunday. So I've got a picture of Aldo with it on, which I shared on our Twitter. I think it was on the bus as well.
Yeah, it was.
Made its way onto the bus as well, didn't it? So fair play, mate. So yeah, he was over, brought his belt with him, and obviously he got Klopp, one of them as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
When Klopp left, because Redman handed that over. So, I mean, yeah, on the difference thing, I don't think there was any difference. Just it was definitely bigger, it was definitely busier, there was definitely more people that wanted to come and see it. You know, the sort of the music, the style of it, the roots, you know, all of that stuff was the same, wasn't it? I've heard a few people say, and I think it's sort of, you just needs a little bit of an acknowledgement, because I've seen some comments there. I know from some people, you know, anecdotally who were around and about with kids, that I just think maybe now we are reaching a point where a little bit more thought needs to go into some of the pyro stuff. Yeah. Because if you're burning kids with it, and if so much of it's going off that people who've waited 4 and 5 hours to see things then can't see, I think we might be losing sight of something that's, you know, supposed to make it all look better and is cool and all that. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be like fun police, but equally, I just kind of think I'd throw it out there as something to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, people probably don't want to take any notice of me, but I just feel like it's kind of a conversation now, because I heard bits and bobs about, you know, people with kids on their shoulders and things like that, and then, you know, finding out that, you know, the kid's clothes, or even the kid has, you know, got minor burns, or the mum has, or they have, or whatever, and it's just a bit like,
didn't need to happen that way. And
no, and like I just kind of think, you know, one of the things I've always loved about parades, and I've gone to them since the 80s, like, you know, I can remember going in 86 with my nan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm still going in 2025, and you know, one of the things that was always good about it is quite clearly when you think about the numbers who were there, this isn't just people, you know, not everyone goes the match.
No.
Not everyone can afford to go the match. Not everyone has access to tickets to go to the match, etc., etc., etc. But they still love Liverpool. They still want to see Liverpool. They still want to go and say hiya and see the faces of the players, and, you know, and all of that good stuff. And what I always like about it is you will see kids in pushchairs, you will see nans, you will see granddads, you'll see people in wheels, you know, whatever it might be. You'll see a full, you know, section of society out there. And it's kind of like the pyro stuff and all that is not helping a lot of them people.
It really isn't. And look, I understand the sentiment behind it, because it's one of those things where when it happens as a rarity, it can be really special. Like, everyone always remembers certain times when it happened and it was special. I think of the away end at Goodison when Mane scores, and it becomes like a beacon in the light. And those memories are really kind of special, but they're only special because they're rare. And I get everybody wants to have a part of that and say, well, yeah, I can do that as well. I can go and buy some. I can be like that fella. But if everyone's doing it, then it's not special. And as you say, people can't see it. People are getting sick because of it. It was the same on Sunday when we were waiting for the bus. Like, there was 2 fellas who just basically put 3 of them on the floor in front of them. And I'm like, well, what's that doing? Why?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like people have forgotten what they're actually for. But again,
I'm a bit confused, and, you know, you might have seen me frowning if you're watching the video. So there's a number of people saying in the comments that there were goats, actual goats, out watching the parade, essentially. What?
like the animal.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it
and I know it's not just what, like, there's about 3 or 4 people all say, yeah. Like Ian says, yeah, there were 2 actual fucking goats. Red Sai says, yeah, I saw the 2 goats. We walked with them for a bit.
Well, I mean, I bet they probably didn't like the pyro either, to be fair. Like, that's nuts. I did not know about the goats.
No, I didn't know about the goats. Thanks, Alternative FM Internet Radio. Who sent 2 knicker over to us there, says parade safety is paramount.
I think so. I think we can all be happy without having to impinge on each other's happiness. And
yeah, a lady was walking 2 goats on a lead.
were they named Mo and Virgil by any chance?
So there you go. So, I mean, you know, what the goats, as you say, probably went into the pyro as well.
No.
I'm like, you know, like, there's pyro, like, actual organised stuff as part of it, isn't there? So, you know, there's that fantastic picture from Gareth Jones, who once upon a time I worked with. So he's took over on the Whittle with a big massive lens, and it's obviously just at the moment that, you know, the bus is going through the Strand past the Liver buildings, etc., and fireworks are going off from the top of the Liver building. There's you know, and it looks amazing. And, like, I don't know whether he's planning to sell said print, but I imagine it would do
I hope
numbers
so.
if he did.
I'm glad you mentioned his name because I've seen a few people online saying, "Do you know who did it?" And they couldn't find them, so they were going to be like,
Gareth Jones.
I hope people don't just try and screenshot it and send it to printers or anything like that.
Well, it's crap resolution if you do that anyway. So,
Well, yeah, that's true. But you hope that the person who does it gets
this is
the
getting
credit.
weirder. There's a video of someone dancing with the goat in his arms.
What?
I haven't seen any of this. I mean, like, it's been a bit of a mad, crazy few days.
Yeah.
With everything that's gone on and blah, 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 and busyness and
I took some
moving
time off
house
socials,
and-
to be fair. I just needed a bit of a
Yeah.
mind cleanse. to get
same,
away.
really, yeah. I sort of like just was like, emotionally, physically, everything drained, really, for a bit. I definitely couldn't have come in here on Tuesday and talked about all of this in the way I am now. Definitely just sort of needed that little break. So glad you were all nice and understanding about that, and we got loads of nice messages, and I'm glad that you're all having a watch now as well. So thanks for that.
I also wanted to say, kind of piggyback on what you said before about people coming up to us, and it's funny because I was with Lindsay and my housemate Georgie as well. They were there with us, and they always kind of take the piss out of me of being some kind of minor celebrity because people always seem to recognise me when we're out. But when it was the two of us together, it seemed like it was just magnified. There was a point where we couldn't really walk down the street without someone coming up and saying hello. And I loved it because obviously it means that you guys are out there enjoying the show, and I'm always happy to come and sit and chat with all of you lot. But yeah, it did mean that I was getting some stick from Lindsay about it. But yeah, it's funny because we sit here so often and talking to a camera with some windows behind us, and we see the comments of people online, and you see that there are people who are watching it. But on days like parades or when we're at the match, that's when you really get the scope of these people are out there who are actually listening to the crap that we're coming out with and really enjoying it.
A few people said they liked the crisp chat better than the footy chat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're going to be well happy today.
and in forthcoming weeks. Thanks to Brace DeVille, who's thrown in $20. Says an amazing year. Thanks for all the content. Cheers, lads. And Liz Cummings updates that said goat was in Tuebrook, and Barry says, I've tweeted a picture of the goats to the Late Challenge Twitter. So I guess I should go straight over there. And,
I mean, this
have a
makes
look,
great live content, but I'm going to have to
there they
say,
are.
I need to see this goat.
There they are. I like the goats. Well, that's wild, isn't it? Sound?
Like, I want to know, it's like, talk me through the thought process. Bloody hell, there they are as well. Like, why? I mean, I'm hoping that she already has goats rather than went out and hired goats specifically for the...
No, they've got that's goats. That's like, she lives with the goats.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I want to go and see the Reds. Do you fancy a Billy lad? And then they...
Couldn't get anyone to mind the goats, so bring them along.
Yeah.
To be fair, there's a lady who lives up the road from me who's got 2 massive pigs that she just stays in her back garden. So, yeah, I guess it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Yeah. Just, and they are, like, when you said someone had them in their arms, I was thinking, how big are they? But they're, like, you can get them in your arms. That makes sense. Like, I wonder what their names are. If you know them, if you know the people who own the goats, let me know, because I'm fascinated.
I think Ian's fascinated about the idea that you thought there that someone might have hired a goat.
Well, I mean,
and he says, where do you think you would hire a goat from?
A farm. Like.
Hello, can I hire a goat for the Liverpool trophy parade, please?
Well,
no problem, mate.
You wouldn't tell them what it's
Tuebrook,
for.
yeah.
You wouldn't tell them what it's for, because obviously they're not going to want to give you their goats otherwise. But yeah, I mean, it's like that scene in The Big Lebowski. It's like, you want a goat? I can get you a goat. I know a guy. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about Sunday and the match and the trophy lifts. Because there are a few other bits about the match that I feel like we should probably cover. Like the fact that we haven't really talked about the football at all, and probably aren't going to talk about it that much. But there are a few things I wanted to highlight. So first off, something that we mentioned last week that I'm really pleased that happened is that we did give Palace their Guard of Honour.
Yeah,
us getting ours.
Yeah.
And like, I honestly was thinking going into the game, like, I don't think we could have handpicked a better opponent for this because, as we've said quite a few times, Palace are just sound. And then having seen them just beat Man City to a trophy, I think we thought they were even more sound. So it was very much just like a big love-in. And I loved how many of their fans stayed to watch us go through our trophy lifts and stuff. Because, like, you never know when you're going to get to see that.
Yeah, no, they are the great set of lads, both the team and the fans, really. And I mean, I was happy that we did the guard of honour for them, and created a big, massive space for them to walk through. I was less pleased when they did that on the pitch for Salah. It's a bit like what he is doing, lads. Can we have a game of footy before the end of the season, or we just completely bin football off? And look, it was good to score, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? It was good that Mo equalled the record, and of course he's done it in less games, etc. I think to sort of end on a defeat, however little it matters, would still have been a bit shit.
Yeah.
So it was nice that we scored, nice that it was him. We'd knocked on the door enough as well, do you know what I mean? To be fair, like hitting the post and all the rest of it. So I think it was deserved. Obviously, we did it with 10 men as well, which is a bit mad. A bit mad that rolls into next season as well.
Yeah.
But looks like we'll have other players by then as well. But yeah, it was good. I think like you say, good set of fans and opponents to have on the last day, because they are sound and they do just sing about themselves rather than daft songs about cliched songs about Scousers, Liverpool, and all the other boring stuff that everyone's sick to the backseat of hearing. We're not triggered, lads. We're just bored. We're just tired.
Bored. But yeah, with none of that from them. You mentioned the red card. It was another indication of it was just such a weird game of football. Like, because even the moment, like, because you got booked before for diving, which at first I was like, there's no way. But luckily I get to see the replay and I looked at it again. I was like, yeah, it's probably a dive. Probably unnecessary. But then his last man, he goes to take a touch. He slips. Probably one of the only mistakes he's made all season long. Slips over, completely takes the ball out. And it's just a bit like, it's funny because there's someone who just thinks, oh, well, no, that was never the pen, or no, that was never a red card. I think everyone in the ground was just like, yeah, he's going off here. And
I pity the fool.
see, that was an appropriate interjection. I'm all right with that. But yeah, you mentioned Salah, and he might have only got 2 goals in his last 9 games, but they were against Spurs and they were against Palace. So he is still the man for the big occasion. And I feel like for one last time, we should go through the Salah records of this season, because I just think that
it's 57 goal involvement, isn't it? Which I know is a bit of a wanky phrase that people have now recently come up with, but
for the whole for all comps,
34 goals, 23 assists, isn't it?
Yeah,
which is like
insane.
Phenomenal. And then second top scorer I think is Cody, is it, with 18, and then Diaz with 17. It was quite the jump. And I thought it was interesting. I'm not sure about the timeline now, because my head's just a mess still a little bit in terms of remembering things, and I can't piece it all together. I'll be less discombobulated at some point, I'm sure, or maybe not. Maybe this is just how the rest of life goes. But I read somewhere or watched somewhere or heard somewhere where Slot was talking about Mo, and he was sort of saying, and I totally got what he meant, and he was trying to explain what he meant because he didn't want it to be misinterpreted. He was sort of saying, I don't think Mo can do that again.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, maybe he can. But I totally got what he meant, because, I think someone's done a stat somewhere, haven't they, saying it's like 55% of the goals or something are Mo. And it's like, yeah, that's not sustainable, is it? Do you know what I mean? And it makes a lot of sense who we're being linked with, who we're looking to buy, because the load definitely needs to be shared.
I think there's also a kind of a hidden kind of message in there, in as much as some of the things that we had to do in order to allow him to do that, some of the concessions they made to him not having to do as much defensive work and getting other people in there to do that defensive work, maybe those conditions aren't going to be there again. But I also think that, like, he knows Mo Salah, So when he says, "Oh, Mo Salah was great," but like, it's probably unlikely he can never do that again, or can he? There'll be a part in the back of Mo Salah's head where it's just like, "Yes, I can."
Yeah,
You watch me.
Oh, of course, there will be. Yeah.
He's just like little
And
stirring.
I love sort of like in the same sort of news cycle almost. You've got Slot saying that, and then over here I'm reading a different piece. Mo Salah, I can play until I'm 40.
Yeah. Not on accident he said that.
Yeah.
Right, so let me go through all the stats then. 47 Premier League goal involvements, 29 goals, 18 assists, which is a record in any campaign. 38 games, 42 games, whatever. He's the first person to be top of goals and assists since Harry Kane did it 4 years ago, and only the third time it's ever happened. He scored and assisted in 11 different Premier League games, 4 more than any other player has ever done in a season. Across Europe's big 5 leagues, we all know what that means now. It's the most since Lionel Messi did it 11 times 10 years ago for Barcelona. 16 of the 29 goals were away from home, which really surprised me because, again, you think that sometimes it's easier at home. He doesn't like it when it's easy. He goes over there and he does the business. It's a joint record. 11 away assists, which is also a joint record. 27 goals and assists away from home. That is also a record. He didn't quite get to 20 assists to match Thierry Henry, but
That wasn't his fault.
no, it wasn't. Also, one thing he can't do is play the ball and then we'll pull it.
I mean,
in
lads
himself.
who can put the ball in the back of the net, we probably need 1 or 2 more of
But
them.
for all of the other top assist makers, with the exception of Henry, because he's a freak, they're all got set pieces. All 18 of Mo Salah's are from open play. He had the most chances created, the most big chances created, most touches in the box, the highest XG, and the most shots. He won the Golden Boot. He won the Playmaker Award. He was Player of the Year of the Premier League, for the football writers, and probably going to be for the fans and for the players as well. He's the best there was, better than he's ever been, and he signed a new 2-year deal. Hooray for that. But did you hear what he said about Saudi?
Yeah, that it was like quite far down the line at one point, and it was an option,
Yeah.
etc. Yeah.
I was kind of shocked to hear that.
So was I, because I think we've peddled the narrative, if indeed that's true, that like, oh, we wouldn't go there because it's not competitive, it's a shit league and all that kind of stuff, and just shows you we just talk absolute shite. we have absolutely no idea. I'm sorry to be on my phone because it looks dead rude, but the only reason it is, I don't know if I can actually do it. I really enjoyed a comment that I just saw, because let's see if I can make this work. Probably not. Probably shouldn't. So someone said Mo Salah's record can't happen again, as in like what Slot said, and then he said Mo Salah's answer.
Let's make 1 win in 17. It can't go on like this, can it? It can.
I absolutely love Mick
Oh,
McCarthy.
absolutely. Yeah, me too.
And someone said Mo Salah's record can't happen. Mo Salah in his best Mick McCarthy impression. It can. I love that meme.
Yeah.
I love that. It can. I don't know why it's so funny, but it just tickles me.
Well, it's just
Can't go on like this.
Mick
It can.
Mick McCarthy can do anything and say anything and it'd be
He's boss,
hilarious.
isn't he?
But he's right. Like, this is Mo Salah's talking about it. Like, if we want to give him something to work out, something to drive him forward over the summer, something to keep him in his cryogenic chamber or in the gym or whatever the hell he does over the summer, it's this. It's like, okay, you guys think I can't do this again? Just watch me. And like, even though he would have potentially gone away to Saudi, I think the other thing that I thought was interesting about it is that he basically admitted that he was leveraging our love to try and get the club to give him the deal that he wanted. He said, of course, they are part of the pressure on the administration, which is like, fair play, mate.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, obviously, I wouldn't necessarily give away your hand if you're playing poker, so obviously. But the point is that he knows how much he's loved, so why not use that? And, by the way, it's not as if he was only using that. He was also using production on the football pitch. So He had played every card he had in his hand.
Well, I mean, it's quite, and it's quite the card that he can basically say, "Listen, you wouldn't have won the league if it wasn't for me," which is true.
Absolutely
let's be honest. And what I like about him in a game, we have said this many times in many different ways, but it bears repeating, is that he seems to go away every summer, have a big think, and then come back with something slightly different in his armoury every time. And I kind of look, you look at the business Liverpool is trying to do, you look at the players that were likely to sign soon, etc. And you're like, it looks like, Slot Aya and others are trying to sort of build Liverpool into something different now. We've definitely been at times a bit workmanlike and, not found out, but, certainly teams, towards the end of the season were setting up in ways that were frustrating us and we didn't necessarily have answers, did we? And okay, we know there's all the stuff about they went to Dubai and, the manager went to Ibiza and the title was won. I mean, before that, though, as well, there were games where you were like, we've dogged that a little bit there.
Yeah, they kind of, people was talking about them crawling over the line and what have you, but...
if we're talking about basically getting two really attacking fullbacks again, we're talking about getting a fella who can be a 10, a false 9, play on the left, right, up front, and whatever you want, i.e. you won't be able to predict what the hell the fella's doing.
Yeah.
Then we're being linked to basically a Peter Crouch with skill. the Frankfurt lad. You know what I mean? It feels like we're looking to bring in players where we will be very different. There'll be a lot more to our... And again, it makes you, as I'm saying it, I'm like... And Slot said that line, didn't he, about there's other things we can add to our armoury.
Other weapons. And I mean, to be able... It's mad when you think about it, to be able to say that Liverpool were comfortably the best team in the country this season. And yet, not only is there going to be lots of change in their squad, but there's also loads of areas, just football-wise, so they can improve. Like, think about how long we were talking about set pieces. They had like their little run of 4 games in a row towards the end of the game, end of the season, when they scored from a set piece 4 games in a row. But before that, they were terrible. And that's something, when you look at what we've got in the squad in terms of fellas to attack them and fellas to put the ball in, we should definitely be better. So,
except when they pulled the random Man City one out the bag.
Yeah.
Which was quality.
Well, exactly. But like, we can do more stuff like that. We can do more of the more regular stuff. There are so many different areas where you think, okay, if they improve 4 or 5% there, 4 or 5% there, 4 or 5% there, then they're flying. So I think there's loads to be really, really positive about in
Absolutely.
Liverpool. Like, I keep thinking back to the Liverpool haven't retained the league title since 1984. That's a long time. Like, I was 3 years old when that happened. Like, I'm now older than 3, so that's a long time.
I feel like we've got a great chance as well because when I look at sort of, and obviously it's through LFC tinted glasses and all the rest of it, but seriously though, when I look at it and think about it, I'm like, well, Man City need loads of work doing, and okay, they'll find a way to spend money because they always do. They still got these charges hanging over their head. There's a bit of perhaps maybe uncertainty about Pep Guardiola beyond 2027, which is allegedly is one of the reasons why Wirtz is not interested in going there. So all I'm saying there is maybe it won't be as easy as it once was for them to get back to a level. Who knows? We don't know. I mean, I could be talking absolute broken biscuits. Arsenal, I think most people think they're a good side in the waiting. They could and should do a lot better than they did this season, next season in the league. However, what happens if they don't? You know what I mean? Like, if they start the league season and, within the first 10 games, they're offering quite a few of them, or they lose a couple or whatever, imagine the pressure, imagine the media talk. And I know lots of people say, pundits seem to say all the time, Arteta's done a good job. Arteta, if you look at what he had, the situation he inherited, where he's got them to and all this kind, I get it. I get the argument. But equally, I think he never strikes me as a fella who's particularly good at dealing with the pressure. It seems to get to him. Starts coming out with bollocks. Starts making up things about in this season, in another season, and with this points total would have been and just talking shite that keeps the pressure on.
Did you see what Thierry Henry was saying on the overlap?
No, I got told about this. No, but I haven't watched it yet.
Honestly,
doesn't like him, does he?
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say he doesn't like him. I just think that he thinks that there's a point where
wasn't he going about like United getting to cup finals and stuff like that, and saying
5 cup finals in 5 years.
Yeah,
he was like, it takes 3 years for you to kind of replenish this team that wasn't there, get rid of the players who can't play the way you want to play, and then after that 3 years, you've then got 3 years to build, and it's very much like, well. I think Carroll said, oh yeah, well, they're building year on year. And he was just like, well, that building's very tall. And just, the way the Thierry is like, honestly, I could listen to that man say anything. He is so smart. If you haven't watched it, go out and watch it. But his whole point is that by now, there should be more to show for what they've been building. And I don't even think it's going to take 10 games the next season for them to go under pressure. I think whoever they sign as a forward is going to be massively under pressure from day one because they're the ones who are meant to be the final piece in the jigsaw. They're the one who are meant to drive them to the title. And it's like most of the players that they're looking at buying are either young kids or someone like Victor Gyökeres, who has admittedly done it in Portugal, but last time he was in the Premier League, Brighton got rid of him. And like Brighton know a thing or two about talent and they got rid of him. So I don't think it's as cut and dried, but the real reason why I'm really confident about Liverpool is that I don't think the main reason Liverpool won the league this season is because Man City and Arsenal were particularly bad. I don't think that they were that bad. I just think that it's harder to win because everybody else is not that bad either. Everybody else has got better. So you're not smashing teams 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 who are in the bottom half of the table anymore. You're having to fight for every point. You're having to fight for every win. The amount of times that Arsenal were in front and couldn't hold it because the other team didn't fear them and were good enough to go out there and get an equalising goal. It's not so much about the teams at the top. It's about everybody else. Those tides are rising and Liverpool handled that better than anyone else. And I think they can probably do the same again.
Just to clarify as well, I mean, look, I loved Peter Crouch. And I am well aware that he had skill and I was there for his perfect hat-trick and I was there for his overhead kick. And he's a great fella. I was lucky enough to interview him once as well and he was really good in that as well too. So yeah, it was more that if you watch Ekatike or whatever his name is, he's 6'3", but then he's pulling off all kinds of mad tricks and dribbling around people, and that's what I meant by Crouch with skill. I don't mean Crouch didn't have any. I meant if you watch this fella, he takes big touch, good touch for a big man to a new extreme, basically. And so I think if you threw him into the Premier League or you threw him into our team, you're definitely going to get defenders going, what's this fella doing?
The one I always think of is Paolo One-Chop. Like, do you remember when he used to play for Derby? There was this one game and he went to Old Trafford and no one could tackle him. And I think he scored 2 goals on his debut and beat Man United. And it was like, who the hell is this guy? It's just like, he's just doing things that don't make sense. But yeah, I love players like that. I really do. Because again, we're talking about predictability. He certainly does not have that. But
Shut up, fool.
Kev has thrown in his joke and I'm just in the mood to laugh at it, to be honest. I've enjoyed it. He says Arsenal have got rid of all the clocks because they've had too many seconds. Get in! I'm into that, Kev. I'm into that.
Yeah, it's
Quit your jibber jabber.
right. Okay, so
Is your clock broke, lad?
no, it is, but it is time for questions. Right. So, what do you want, Mr. T question or Liverpool question?
Don't make me mad.
I'll have a Mr. T question because I'm shit at footy questions, as everyone on Twitter keeps pointing out.
Right. Okay. So, an easy one to start off. Mr. T appeared in which Rocky film?
Oh, 3.
Correct.
Don't Don't give me no back talk, sucker.
So we're gonna have to wrap this up because we've almost got to. In fact, I think we've got to now.
Yeah, we well off.
Yeah.
Dave's got a beard now.
Right, so we've still got plenty more on the agenda to talk about. Still got more for the weekends to talk about, a little bit about both of our encounters with a certain Mr. Rafa Benitez. Talk about a little bit about the anniversary of the team that he put together. Talk a little bit more about our awards, who we think was the best of this season for Liverpool, and a few more about the transfer. Go on, just do it.
Don't give me no back talk, sucker. I pity the fool. Quit your jibber jabber. First name, Mr. Middle name, period. Last name, T.
I'm really
Shut
glad
up,
this is
fool.
not
Don't make
gonna
me
be
mad.
permanent.
Don't give me no back talk, sucker.
Thank you
that's so fun.
for indulging this idiot. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Rian, for making my last hour a real joy. No, genuinely, thank you all for watching. We are going to be having more fun. I'm going to be taking out film at some point. We're going to be talking about football. We're going to be talking about non-football stuff as well. We're talking about what's happening in the summer. Some of you know that I'm going to be making an appearance at a certain festival, so we're going to be talking about that as well. But yeah, for now, thank you. We'll see you all on Patreon show. Go on.
Don't give me no back talk, sucker.
What? Yeah, someone sent a super chat. Ben, thank you. £9.99.
Don't give me no. Don't give me no back talk, sucker.
Thank you for enjoying the show, Ben. This may well be the last one.